I
This
am here
conference
with
will now
Terrence.
be
Oh,
recorded.
I always do that. Hi, everyone. This is Melissa, and I'm here with Terrence. Terrence, how are you doing this evening?
Hello, everyone.
Excellent. So, Terrence, I wanted to take the time to share your story because you have an incredible life story. You have really come from, an amazing place. You've already been through a lot and you're going through a lot right now and coming out on the other side. So, I
Yeah.
wanted to talk to you a little bit about your history, wanted to talk to you about your background and, just learn a little bit more about you and what keeps you going. And I think that that's really important to share positive stories like this, particularly at a time like right now, don't you?
Yes, of course, absolutely.
Okay,
I
great.
absolutely,
Please go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
no, I absolutely agree with what you just said. We have to motivate each other, keep everybody strong. Yes,
Absolutely. There's so much bad news out there right now that I'm just trying to make sure that I'm sharing as much good news as I possibly can.
yes.
And what better way to do that than with somebody's incredible story? So that's the whole reason essentially for, what I'm trying to do with this podcast. So let's get started. So, Terrence, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up? And, tell us about your situation, brothers and sisters. Where are you from? Let's start at the beginning.
All right, I was born in Memphis, Tennessee.
Mhm.
Um, I have three great sisters and one brother. I'm the oldest of five. Um, my mother married my stepfather when I was 4 years old, and he's been my father ever since. As of even today, even though he's passed on, I consider him my father. My biological father was never in my life, but I was blessed to have my stepfather in my life. And like I said, there's five of us, and I'm the oldest. And I really love them to death. We all love each other.
Absolutely. And it's so important as a kid to have, both your parents if you can. And if you can't, having a great step parent is really, really important. I know, I was lucky enough to have both of my parents my entire life, but I know that I'm one of the very few people that I know that actually had that situation. And
Yes.
when, a stepfather comes into your life, that's really awesome because he's able to really help you build all those fundamental building blocks. What do you think that your stepdad was able to help you with that if he hadn't been around, you wouldn't have had that?
Well, one thing he did for me, and I always appreciated it when I was young. He always called me his son in front of people at church, and he always introduced me as his son. Never said I was his stepson. I always felt like I was his blood son. He loved me that much. He taught me how to be a survivor when
Wow.
things are bad, to do your best, and even you have to reinvent yourself. You don't give up. You don't give up on life. You don't give up on your family because there are a lot of people that depend on you, and people that see you, you may not know that's paying attention to you. People see you and get motivated by what they see in you.
That's really important, actually. What you just said is very key. And let's talk a little bit more about that. I think, I saw a great quote the other day. It said, "You never know who's watching. You never know whose inspiration you actually are." And I thought
Yes.
that that was really powerful because, when we think about social media, there's been so much press of all the negative aspects of it recently. But part of the positive aspects of that are, really getting to see people who are going through it, coming out on the other side, people who are making a really positive difference. I know I saw one thing the other day that really blew my mind, and that is Beyonce apparently is giving away $5,000 grants to anyone who's having rent issues or mortgage issues right now. $5,000 for a family. And I was just thinking, what a way to make a positive contribution. And of course, obviously, neither you or I are Beyonce, right? So we're not going to be able to make that much of an impact,
So,
but we are going to be able to inspire other people, hopefully, through our own struggles and through our own victories to overcome everything. And
you,
I think that that's important, don't you?
yes, you'll be surprised. Even though we may do little small things that may not seem like nothing to us, it means the world. Could mean the world to anybody else that sees it and appreciates it.
Absolutely. So let's talk about, a little bit about, as you were growing up, you're a very positive person. And, that's something that when you're positive, it's really contagious and other people around you pick it up. Where do you really feel like that positivity came from? Is that something that your parents instilled in you? Is that something that you kind of instilled in yourself? How did that happen?
I would say it came from my parents, especially my mother. And because we was very into the Bible, and the
Mhm.
Bible really inspired me a lot. And I, like I said, I never give up. And just like Jesus did when He's manifested into man here on earth, He kept His mind on the cross. He kept His mind on, what was going to come in the future of this
Mhm.
life, and they kept him inspired. So everything keeps me inspired. Just like a quote, and I think it's in Matthew. Jesus told this guy who was paralyzed. Jesus' disciples made this pool a healing pool. So if you get in the pool, you will be healed of all diseases. And this guy told to Jesus that every time everybody get ready to get in the pool, everyone would step over him, and he couldn't get in the pool. Jesus told him to get up, get his bed, and get in the pool. So I also think of that as motivation. That Jesus telling me, don't feel sorry for yourself. Get up and do what you need to do. Nobody else is gonna feel sorry for you. Get up. So I keep that in mind. It's very positive to me.
Absolutely. And I think it's
I don't
very
sound
important.
okay. I had a stroke.
Oh, well, I think it's very important. And let's talk a little bit about, I know you're a retired police officer. Let's talk about your work that you did with the APD. Let's talk about when you joined the APD. Let's talk about, your experience with the APD and when you left the APD, and then kind
Yeah.
of what happened thereafter, if that's okay.
Um, I remember I had applied for the police department here in Memphis.
Mhm.
That I made it all the way through. They told me that they didn't believe that no one drank or smoked in their life, so they encouraged me to reapply. That's very disappointing because I still to this day I've never drank or smoked alcohol.
Ever in your
And
life?
no, I'm
Wow,
51, never. And I
that's
thought that was
impressive.
really sad that they did me like that. So it just so happened Atlanta came to town of recruiting, and Atlanta brought me into the police department. They brought me in very fast. This is very impressed with my application and everything, and brought me right into the department.
Absolutely. And I know when they brought you on, I think you said you were assigned to the airport for a while and were doing some work over at the airport, right?
Yes, well, I was actually put at the airport for punishment
Oh,
because
okay. Sorry. I missed that part.
no, it's fine. I, I guess they thought that I would be disappointed because I was at the airport because I'd been on about a year. But I was very happy because I was working in a very bad urban area. So it was people that didn't like the police, but you put me at the airport, watch this smiling faces all the time. So I was very happy.
Of course. Yeah, the
Yes.
airport, for people who don't know, the Atlanta airport is the busiest airport in the world and has been for the past 20 years. So it's definitely a happening place. I mean, there's always something going on at the airport, you know. It's like the best airport in the world. If you have to be stuck somewhere, that's where you want to be stuck. You can take a
Oh,
nap, you
yeah,
can get a massage, whatever you need. It's a great place.
exactly.
I love that airport. I've spent way too much time in airports, as you can tell. So, Terrence, you were working over at the Atlanta airport, and then let's talk a little bit about, kind of what happened over there. I know that there was an incident with a politician's sister, right?
Yes, the governor, former governor Roy Barnes, his sister-in-law.
Absolutely. And I believe she was intoxicated, wasn't she?
Yes, she was very intoxicated. She hit me with her SUV and tore my rotator cuff from my left shoulder.
And at that time, did you have any assistance with recovery? Did they, pay for any medical bills or anything like that to help you out to recover from that? Because that's painful.
No, they even tried to deny that I wasn't hurt. They never paid for my medical. No, ma'am.
No, that's what I was afraid of. And then I know that you started to form a case against the city of Atlanta because you were discharged because of the whole incident, which was completely unfair. And
Yes.
why don't you talk a little bit, if you don't mind, about that court case?
Well, what happened? The lady was the former governor's Roy Barnes' sister-in-law. So my three supervisors, It was Lieutenant Mathis, Lieutenant Biello. I forgot the other sergeant's name. They released her. They stinked her out of the precinct, and they said, "Well, we looked on the video and it shows you body slammed her." I said, "No, I did not body slam her. I laid her down." Now she's a Caucasian lady, so if I slammed her on the pavement on the street, she would have had bruises everywhere. Of course, in her
Yeah,
face, she had not a
as
scratch on her.
as someone who's really pale by nature, I can say that if someone bumps me like in the hallway, I look like, I was climbing a wall or something by myself. I mean, I bumped something tiny. I've got big purple spots all over me. It's crazy.
Right.
So, yeah, that there's no way that, with her being that pale that happened and she wasn't covered in bruises. There's no
Right.
way.
So I actually had to call my wife to come and take me to the hospital because I could not get them to take me to the hospital from
They
the
wouldn't
precinct.
take you to the hospital?
No, they would not. They would not. I called my ex-wife. She took me to the hospital, and
Wow.
then they followed me down there. They tried to talk to the doctor down there, and I guess I don't know if they were trying to tell him I was faking my injury, but I got hit by an SUV. I tore my rotator cuff from a human being. I can't believe you deny that. And
No.
it was it became a big media thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the news stations that they knew what was going on, but they kept trying to paint me as a monster. I was a very big guy, worked out, and
Yeah.
it was like this big black police officer slammed this poor harmless white lady at the airport. But it was a total lie. My lawyer sent them proof that I did not slam them. There
Mm-hmm.
were um, airport passengers that were not police. They wrote statements, and they said I did not slam her. I was very professional and nice, and they were telling me how mean and belligerent she was, and that
Wow.
she hit me with her car. They said they saw her hit me with the car, and my supervisor tried to deny this. And before I got fired, I was told by the police academy because the police chief Richard Pennington was saying that it was out in the news, but the academy, where he looked for advice, said that I did nothing wrong, which I did not do nothing wrong. And he still said I did. He said I put my knee in her back. We're not trying to do that. There's universal training to get control of the subject. So then he said, I forget what he said I did. He said I did something. They fired me. It was total. It was just total craziness. So we filed a $10 million lawsuit against the woman,
Mm-hmm.
and she was very paranoid about it because we had the truth. Everything on her was based on a lie, and she
Mm-hmm.
got. I'm sorry to say it, but she had white privilege because of who she was, and she even threatened our department when she was in the print. She said, "You don't know who you mess with. I will have the media down here so fast it will make your head spin. You all are in trouble now." She threatened us like that, and they took her side and they sneaked her out of the precinct, the lieutenants, and they unarrested her, unbeknownst to me. By Georgia law, they could not do that. It was against the law for them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the prison, you can't unarrest anyone. So we sued them, and I actually won a default judgment against the city of Atlanta for $53 million because they did
Wow.
not sue the lawsuit. But they, before the 30 days was up, they had 30 days to appeal. They appealed it, and first Clarence Cooper in the federal court had my case, but all of a sudden it got changed to a Republican judge, and he hurried up and dismissed my case. But I totally had truth on my side, and I had all
Of
kind of
course.
evidence to prove I was totally right and she was a liar. And it was actually found out that she sues people. She sued a lot of people to get her money. She's not very intelligent. She sues everybody. We
She's
found
just
out.
a very litigious person who's always looking for lawsuits. And there are some people that are just that way. I know,
That's
I've been filming a film in Atlanta, and my lawyer actually called me in let me know that as I'm getting ready to film that I have to make sure that I'm being very, very careful, because there are some lawyers out there who are actively looking for any sets where things might not be 100%, perfect from COVID. And we already have someone who's coming to do tests on site. But I was warned about the fact that there are people who are saying there are like $120,000 lawsuits per case of COVID on set. So if you're making a small film or something like that and someone gets sick, there are some people out there that are just apparently traveling around looking for lawsuits, which is really crazy.
Yes, they are.
But so let's summarize here, because I just want to make sure that I get this right. So from the top, there was a false claim.
Yes.
You were discharged. After you were discharged, you brought a lawsuit. The lawsuit got thrown out, and the lawsuit got thrown out because it was shifted over to a Republican judge. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct.
Wow.
I got my job back, and I came back to work reluctantly. I really didn't want to come back because I didn't want to deal with those people again.
Of course.
They embarrassed me and they touched my family. So I had no respect for the administration. But I came back and I did my job well. And one of the lieutenants took a lie detector test, and he failed the test about the airport incident. And the other
Wow.
supervisors refused to take a test after he failed. Then they made a rule that you had to take a test, a lie detector test,
Wow.
because of that incident. But they totally lied.
Yeah, I can tell. And, that's something that, most people would stop in their tracks. I mean, the idea of losing a $53 million lawsuit like that would crush most people. And, most people wouldn't know what to do. They wouldn't go back to work. They would just, I don't know, crumble, for lack of a better word. So I'm very impressed with your sense of duty, with your sense of obligation. Obviously, you didn't want to return to that because, I mean, all the drama, the people, everything else that was a part of that. But at the same time, you knew that that's what you needed to do to take care of your family. So you did.
Right. I remember
So,
my uncle told me when I was going through all that and it was all in the world news.
mhm.
Um, it's very proud of me because he said, nephew, you have not started drinking or doing drugs. And you just everywhere. I said, well,
Mhm.
Uncle, God has me. So I know he has me and God cannot lie. So I have no reason to get drunk or get on drugs or anything. I know that a better day is coming. So that's what I told him.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And so let's talk about your company now, because that's really, I mean, that to me is a really big shift. That's pretty amazing. Most people would have gone down the hole of depression, gone down the hole of drugs, basically not handled themselves the way that you did with that media pressure and all of those different forces pulling you in different directions. And yet what you did, and this is so impressive to me, is you moved to Memphis and you started your own business and became a successful entrepreneur. Can we talk a
Yes.
little bit about the motivation behind that, please? Because I think that's pretty powerful as well.
Well, for years I had been a police officer. Now, what I understand is that in the Asian countries, they don't believe in bad news. They believe in, like I said, reinventing yourself.
Mhm.
They believe in opportunity. So that motivated me also that what can I do to start my business? Also, my best friend in LA, he encouraged me to start one also. He said, well, what do you do well? I said, I really don't want to get into law enforcement anymore. And I know I used to have my stepfather with his water cleaning business when I was a teenager. So I just, excuse me.
Of
So
course.
I decided to start a window cleaning business. And I actually was making a lot more than I was being a police officer. But I
Yeah.
did miss it because I really enjoyed helping people as a
Yeah.
police
And
officer. But I said,
of
I got to take
course.
care of my family. And it became a big success.
That's awesome. And I know, taking care of your family is always your number one priority. And I know, though, that it's also really challenging, too, because being a police officer, one thing that's really great about that is that you see that immediate payout, right? You help someone, you see the change that you're making in their lives right away. You save somebody's life, you help them get on the right path, you help them get clean, whatever the case is. That's a really, really powerful thing. And I know it's kind of a focus shift becoming an entrepreneur, but at the same time, once you become an entrepreneur, you're able to take that skill set and teach it to other people. Did you work at all in the community as a mentor to be able to help other business owners learn new skills and things like that?
Um, I would say that I've gone to meetings at the what is that? The Better Business Bureau,
Oh, nice.
and yes, I've spoken there, and I've spoken at churches. They invited me to come speak to their members, and I've done things like that.
Awesome. That's very,
Yes.
very cool. And that's very important. Being a person who helps the community and also shares knowledge is so important and also provides that good example that we were talking about at the very, very beginning. That's very
Yes.
important as well. And that's wonderful. And I know that you're going to continue in your success with your business. Let's
Oh,
also, though, I'm sorry?
that's absolutely I am.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about your most recent challenge, your most recent obstacle that you've overcome so far that you're in the process of overcoming. I know, as someone, who is always running around myself like a chicken with my head cut off in like 10 different directions all at once. And, we're always told you need to slow down, you need to, do this, you need to do that. And I know that I myself am very guilty of not doing that. And I'm trying to get better about that. I'm trying to say, okay, I'm not working 16 hours today. I'm going to cut it at 14, or hey, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do this instead. I'm going to sleep 5 hours instead of 3. And at the same time, there's always so much to get done that it's really
Yes.
hard sometimes to like cut back on what it is you're trying to get done. So why don't we talk a little bit about your most recent situation and kind of what you're going through now?
Well, back in November 24th, I had a stroke, and I look at it like when things happen, I look at it like divine intervention. I know it
Hmm.
may sound a little crazy, but sometimes God wants you to just rest in what you're doing, because
Hmm.
a lot you could be doing a whole lot of which I was, um, and it finally caught up with me, and I need to take a break and just rest myself, rest my mind. Although I've lost the left function of my body, I'm working to get it back. Um,
Absolutely.
Sometimes God wants you to take a break, and God, I'm gonna be honest, I cried a lot when it happened because my left side of my body wouldn't move. But like I said, God made us promises to take care of us, and I do believe in God. God
Of
cannot lie.
course.
So I'm absolutely motivated, and I'm just patiently waiting on God to bless me again, to be able to move again. So I have no doubts, and I truly have no worries.
That's very important. And I know that if anyone can come out on the other side and this and be 1,000 times stronger, it's you.
Thank you.
I know that you will come out and you will conquer this, and you'll come out and you'll have amazing stories and you'll have, just great information to share with everyone. You should
Yeah,
actually probably write a book about that experience as well as your other one when you come out on the other side of this.
yeah, man.
Because yeah, because you can teach people how to reclaim their lives and how to reclaim, their situation and the good that they can see in it. So that's an extremely important thing for you to be thinking about.
Exactly.
So I guess my question for you, and this will probably be our last question, is where do you see yourself in like the next 5 years? Where do you want your business to go? What kind of outreach do you want to have to the community? And how do you want to continue to grow?
Um, well, what I would like to do is to hire more employees,
Mhm.
and I would like to open franchises also to have other people start their own business and be independent of themselves, and
Nice.
also be a mentor in the community where I could maybe mentor people to start their own business and to not to be so dependent on someone for a job or for a
Mhm.
job and they, whatever reason they don't like you. Just like I used to get drug tested all the time in my police job. They were jealous because I worked out. I
Mhm.
was, I was just very, I was a very blessed man. I worked out and I was very strong. I never took drugs. I never done supplements. I never done anything. But what I understand, they were taking bets that I would fail the drug test of steroids. And I thought that was pathetic because they was always sending me for drug tests. It was supposed to be a random test. And I told one sergeant, there's nothing random about my test. They're always drug testing me. He
Hmm.
told me that they were taking that some people in the administration were taking tests that I would fail the test, but there was nothing in my system. It was just an inconvenience. It got so redundant that I started to go and after I took the drug test with the police department, I would go to another lab on my own and I would take a test, another test right then, just in case someone tampered with my test and lied and said, "Hey, we found this in your system." And I said, "No, I just went ahead to test it as soon as I left, and there's nothing in my system. You're lying." Because we know there are a lot of haters in this world. Nobody, a lot of people don't like to see you do well. I found out one time that I was transferred in the police department from one department to another. They took me from the airport back to the urban area because I was told that I was smiling too much at the airport. Like, are you kidding me? You've transferred me because I was smiling too much? They said, I promise you, they told me I was smiling too much. They didn't want,
I believe you. You've told me this before when we were talking about your manuscript, and it's completely insane that that would be a
yes,
reason that you would transfer someone. It's like he's too happy, he can't work here. What?
yes.
So crazy.
Um, but even in the urban areas, I smile a lot. I
Hmm.
have 23, I had 23 commendation letters from citizens and the mayor of Atlanta. I smile
Wow.
a lot. I shake a lot of hands. My sergeant one time told me when we were working crime scenes where people come up to me and they shake my hand, give me hugs, and greet me. He said, "Why do all these people come up and shake your hand and hug you all the time?" I said, "I guess I shake a lot of hands, Sergeant. You know, I'm just a very nice person." And one thing I did, I started writing traffic tickets because I realized that they put a lot of people on probation because they make the fine so high where they know
Yes.
people that don't have money can't pay and they put them on probation for a year. If they miss a payment, they'll put a warrant for their arrest. I thought that was just pathetic. I stopped writing traffic tickets after that.
Yep, that's a very, very powerful thing. I didn't actually know about that until I went to court for an unrelated matter and saw them actually do that in Walton County.
Yes,
And couldn't believe that that was actually a thing. The last time I checked, debtor's prison wasn't legal. So doing that to someone, particularly, if they can't already afford to pay their ticket, is just unconscionable. I don't understand how that could be legal at all.
they make the fine so outrageous they can't pay it. They know they can't pay it and they put them on probation for a year and they spread that over 12 months. If they can't pay it and miss a payment, it's a warrant for their arrest. That's not right. That's not right at
No,
all. So
it's
I
not.
just stopped writing traffic tickets. We were told to do it. We were told we were encouraged to do it. I wouldn't do it.
Well,
I never
in
did.
my
I just
opinion,
stopped. I
I
said,
think
this is
that's
just
the right thing for sure because those terms are not fair.
exactly. So they would never put it in writing saying that we want you to write this many tickets. They never put it in a memo. They always told them. Some of us would say, well, just put it in writing. They never did it because they didn't want it to come back on them, saying that it's whoever works submit tickets. They want to be a part of it, worried about it. And I wasn't worried about it. I just stopped writing traffic tickets. I thought it was just pathetic how they did people, especially in the urban areas.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know that it seems like that policy always seemed to apply to the urban areas and the very poor
Correct.
areas of the state. It just was not correct. That's for
You
sure.
kind of lock.
Perfect. So here's a question. If you were going to leave everyone
Yes.
with a parting thought of how to stay focused, how to come together, and how to really achieve their goals and move beyond their challenges at the moment, what would your advice be?
Well, the Christian that I am, I know everyone is not a Christian, so I'm not trying to push Christianity on everyone. But what I would say is reach above every day, trust in God, trust and know that He does not lie. He keeps all of His promises. And I would say never give up on life. Keep yourself focused and never listen to negative people and never listen to the haters because there are always going to be haters out there. Whatever you feel in your heart, whatever you dream, you continue to do that. Don't listen to no one else. No one else lives your life. You do.
Awesome. Well, Terrence, thank you so much. This has been a great interview and I really appreciate it. And I think this story is going to really inspire a lot of people. So thank you for being the second interview on my podcast. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anytime. Bye, Melissa.
Thank you. Bye.